The fantasy news must flow. Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host Daniel Greene, and today we have a nice little collection of fantasy news to pick apart and get into before I end up having to say goodbye in a sense. But let's go ahead and start with the news today, beginning with a cover reveal from Detour. Perhaps the Stars, from the 2017 John W. Campbell Award winner for Best Writer, Ada Palmer. Perhaps the Stars is the final book of the Terra Ingoda series. You know me. I like Tor. I like spaceships that go This cover's got both, so I'm excited for it. I haven't started this series, but ooh, look at those spaceships. That's a nice looking little spaceship right there. Also buildings, architecture. It's just sci-fi goodiness. Can we agree on this? Next news. We also had a cover drop from Shirin Zhao, who released Iron Widow. This looks pretty intense and is described as Iron Widow is 400 pages of female rage conducted through giant mechas designed after East Asian myth creatures inspired by China's only female emperor. You had me at female rage and giant mechas. I'm in.
I work in sweatpants because I have no standards.
But quickly, a word from today's sponsor. And this video is brought to you by Skillshare. Skillshare is where you can pick up skills to then possibly share in all kinds of different capacities. I'm talking picking up new hobbies, starting a new career, or just going in for the funsies. From dedicated content creators, experts, and just masters of their field, Skillshare brings a wide variety of topics all to your fingertips. That's probably really loud. For the cost of like a streaming service a month. But Daniel, my schedule's so busy. Well, guess what? You get to set your own schedule. That's the brilliance of Skillshare. Not only is it affordable, but basically you work around when is convenient for yourself. On a lunch break, sit down for a quick class. Check out this editing tutorial. Do you know how much faster I could have gotten competent at my job if I'd watched this basic video editing stuff first? I'm not smart. I didn't use Skillshare. I don't think it was quite around at the point back then, but you know what I'm saying? You have a leg up now. So if you'd like to go ahead and give it a trial, check out Skillshare in the link in the description and figure out if, hey, there's possibly even a new career path out there for you. Unfortunately, it seems the upcoming Witcher spin-off show, The Witcher Blood Origin, has lost one of its actresses. Jodie Turner-Smith has exited the show due to some scheduling conflicts that have come up. Not a big sign of anything bad going on for the show. This happens, but for those of you who are a fan of this actress, we're excited to see her in the show. Unfortunately, she will no longer be in it. I do hope to see this actress in further fantasy projects, though. Next news. And exciting for the box office news. It appears that Godzilla vs. Kong, despite its dual launch on streaming platforms and in theaters, is seeing a pretty decent return, actually beating out the last Godzilla movie. Wow. With over $358 million worldwide, this is a great sign for the recovery of the theater industry post-pandemic. And it also goes to show something I've been talking about here. This dual release model can still absolutely work in the post-pandemic world. Are we going to see this continue on? I'm not sure, but for big fantasy releases like this, or sci-fi, whatever you classify this as, it has me excited to live in a time where there's big industry shifts happening this way. But it inevitably begs the question to you. Do you like the idea of like the next Marvel movie or DC movie, or hell, any future fantasy adaptation you're a fan of, having a dual streaming and theater release, or no? Do you prefer it to be only in theaters or only on streaming because you either hate theaters or you don't think you have a good enough TV to properly enjoy the experience? I've actually seen some people raise the issue where it's like, look, not everyone can afford to have a decent home theater setup and they prefer to go to the theater and have that kind of experience. So it could be seen as like they both need to still coexist, but let me know. If you look into it, there's all kinds of issues going on right now between like theaters and big studios asking for more money. There's not just the pandemic issue affecting that industry. So it's going to be one I predict we still see rapidly changing over the next few years. But speaking of major franchises, Star Wars Detours has been a series of animated episodes that are essentially parodying Star Wars that have been kind of stuck in limbo for, I believe, over 8 years now. Since its initial announcement in 2012, people have been looking forward to this kind of parody, joke, non-canonical cartoon take on the Star Wars universe, but it's never come to light. Well, it seems that it's finally going to be put on Disney Plus. Really, if you've been paying attention, this should not be a surprise. Disney seems to have the mentality of just putting whatever on their streaming service to have as much content as possible, because in the streaming wars, as we know,
content is everything. So
if you've been looking forward to this, it's going to be on Disney Plus, with extremely outdated jokes for a franchise that has literally had another era of movies since this was made. So wonder how this is aged. Like, I don't know. I don't mean to be like negative. You know me. I'm the positive goblin. If this wasn't aggressively pushed out, it's probably because the quality wasn't awesome, and the fact that Disney Plus is just going to be flopping it on their streaming service without any, kerfuffle, I don't have high hopes. It has the inevitable problem that, like, Robot Chicken and other parody things are probably always going to do a better job of making fun of Star Wars than like a Star Wars produced series of comedic cartoons. That's my prediction. But do you like just cool buzzwords coming together for a fun little fantasy brainless looks like enjoyment thing? Well, if that's the case, Primal had its first trailer drop and it's coming to Adult Swim. Zombie dinosaurs. So 2 things from your childhood and or, adult life that you might love. Zombies, dinosaurs, put them together. You got Primal. We're in the golden age of entertainment. But speaking of golden entertainment, that's a segue. Most of these are not, but one of them definitely is. It looks like for the Alien franchise, we are getting 4K remasters of Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, all coming to streaming in 4K and are currently undergoing remastering. But an important note here. Both Aliens and Alien 3 have highly regarded director's cuts in other formats, so we hope they'll make it to 4K in some ways too. We also expect the 4K Blu-ray releases to include new features and footage that have previously not been made available. So for my Alien mega fans, it looks like you're not getting the director's cut for this on the streaming platforms on Disney Plus's adult star thing they're going for. And there does seem to be additional Blu-rays coming down the road, so it will not just be a streaming edition. We also got our first look at the Powerpuff Girls live action adaptation, and I don't know, this just looks weird, fine. I don't know, I have no strong opinions on this promotional material. We also had it confirmed that Netflix is working on a live action Gundam movie with Jordan Roberts, the director of Kong Skull Island. This is pretty exciting for the fans and a director who has shown himself to work with giant fights. So cool? Just please keep in mind this is very early stages, and of course Netflix is keeping a lot of this under wraps. But if you're a fan of Gundam, do you think it can work in the live action? Because with a big enough budget and with a lot of the money streaming services are throwing around, it does kind of make sense to me. This does seem like a good match with a director that's proven himself in a similar-ish situation with action. Let me know what you think, or if I'm crazy in the comments. And finishing things off with 2 more pieces of superhero news, it seems that a first edition of Superman's first ever comic sold for a record price, making it the most valued comic in existence. This comic sold for a record-breaking $3.25 million. And the last piece of news we'll be covering here today, we've also had the 1-hour loop Zemo meme come to life. As Marvel is officially leaning into the memification of their MCU, we now have Zemo on a loop for an hour, dancing in a club, after the recent clip in Falcon and Winter Soldier made people go kinda nuts about it. So, yay, meming studios to the point where they actually give in. Yeah. But audience, now I have to say goodbye to this setup for fantasy news. This is the last ever fantasy news that will be filmed in this location. I will be moving this weekend, so do expect videos Tuesday through Friday. I don't think I'll be able to get one out Saturday, and I'll try and be back set up in my new studio in time to get you fantasy news next Tuesday. No promises, but I'm doing my best here. This last 9 months in this apartment has been pretty extraordinary. Yes, I am moving again. I know. Thank you guys so much for the support. It's been fantastic. And say goodbye to the shelves in this setup. I think I might go for something a little more minimal this time. Anyway, guys, like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace.